M3 Stuart Light Tank and other variants. Having the official name Light Tank M3, it is an American light tank during World War II. The name Stuart itself is taken from the name of a famous general of the Confederate forces during the American Civil War, namely James Ewell Brown Yep Stuart. This tank was designed by the US Army Ordnance Department with the American Car and Foundry Company and General Motors Massey-Harris. Produced throughout 1941 to 1945 with various variants of this light tank, namely the M3 Tank, M3A1 Tank, M3A3 Tank, M5 Tank, M5A1 Tank, with a production volume of 22,740 for units of the M3 variant and M5 variant. The M3 Stuart Tank has a weight specification of 15.2 tons, length for 0.84 meters, width to 0.29 meters, height to 0.57 meters, which can accommodate as many as for crew commander, gunner, driver and assistant driver. Equipped with a 9.5 to 63.5 millimeters shield, and the main weapon is 37 millimeters M6 cannon with 147 rounds. Equipped with a Twin Cadillac Series 40 engine to 120 horsepower, 160 kilowatts, 3,400 revolutions per minute horsepower, ton 14.48 horsepower metric ton. Hydramatic transmission with 4 forward speeds and 1 reverse. Using vertical volute spring suspension VVSS suspension. Tank capacity of 340 litres, has a power cruising range of 160 kilometres with a maximum speed of 58 kilometres per hour. In American service, the tanks were officially known as the M3 Light Tank and M5 Light Tank. The Stuart first saw combat in the North African Campaign, and approximately 170 Stuarts were used by British forces in Operation Crusader, the 18th of November - 30 December 1941. The Stuart was the first American manned tank in World War II to engage in tank versus tank combat, when it was used in the Philippines in December 1941 against the Japanese. Outside of the Pacific War, in the final years of World War II, the M3 was used for reconnaissance and screening. M4 Sherman Tank and other variants. The M4 Sherman, officially called the medium tank M4, was the most widely used M4 tank by the United States and other Western allies during World War II. The M4 Sherman proved to be very reliable, cheap to produce, and available in large numbers. This tank was named Sherman by the British, and this name comes from the name of a general during the American Civil War named William Tecumseh Sherman. Designed by the US Army Ordnance Department in 1940. And its manufacturers were American Locomotive Co., Baldwin Locomotive Works, Detroit Tank Arsenal, Federal Machine and Welder Co., Fisher Tank Arsenal, Ford Motor Company, Lima Locomotive Works, Pacific Car and Foundry Company, Pressed Steel Car Company, Pullman Standard Car Company. Started production between 1941 to 1945 with various variants of the M4 tank, namely the M4 Tank, M3A1 Tank, M3A2 Tank, M3A2 HVSS Tank, M3A3 Tank, M3A3 Tank, M3A4 Tank, and the number of production reached 49,230 for units. The M4 Sherman tank has specifications with a weight of 30.3 tons, a length of 5.84 meters, a width of 2.62 meters, a height of 2.74 meters, which can accommodate 5 crew members: commander, gunner, loader, driver and assistant driver. Equipped with a 93mm 3.7-inch shield effective against 7.5 centimeters APCBC. With printed glaze and a 118mm for 0.6-inch shield effective against 7.5 centimeters APCBC with RHA 47 RHA glaze. Also equipped with the main weapon 75mm M3L 40 cannon 90 rounds or 76mm M1 cannon, M101C, M1A to cannon 55 rounds. M3A3 76mm M1A to cannon 71 rounds with complementary weapons .50 cal Browning M2 HB machine gun 300 rounds. 2 pieces .306 Browning M1919A for machine guns for 1,750 rounds. Equipped with a model engine, Continental a 975C19 cylinder radial for 100 horsepower to 198 kilowatts at 2,400 RPM. M3A4 model, Chrysler A57 multibank 30-cylinder engine 21 litres for 170 horsepower at 2,700 revolutions per minute horsepower, a ton 13.5 horsepower, metric ton. During early production using the Chrysler A57 engine and 15.7 horsepower, metric ton during final production with the engine RD1820. With manual Spicer transmission, for forward Synchromesh Plus, 1 additional and 1 reverse transmission. With VVSS suspension, vertical volute spring suspension and horizontal volute spring suspension HVSS on other models. 660-litre tank capacity, cruising range reaches 193 kilometers and maximum speed of 40 to 48 kilometers per hour. During World War II, about 19,247 Sherman tanks were delivered to the US Army and about 1,114 to the US Marine Corps. And the US also supplied 17,180 for tanks to Great Britain, some of which were delivered to Canada and Poland, while the Soviet Union received 4,102. And an estimated 812 tanks were transferred to China. These numbers were further distributed to the allied nations of each country. M26 Pershing tank and other variants. The M26 Pershing is a United States Army medium tank. This tank is named after Army General John J. Pershing, who led the United States forces in Europe in World War II. This tank was used briefly in the last months of World War II. The M26 itself was designed in 1942 to 1944 with the Detroit Arsenal Tank Plant and Fisher Tank Arsenal. Produced from 1944 to 1945 with various variants of the M26 model, namely the M26 Tank, M26A1 Tank, M26E4 Tank, M26E1 Tank, M26E2 Tank. And there are still other variants that I didn't have time to mention one by one, and the total production was 2,212 units. The M26 Pershing has a weight specification of 46 tons, length 9.68 meters, width 3.51 meters, height to 0.78 meters. Capable of carrying 5 crew commander, gunner, ammunition loader, driver, and assistant driver. Equipped with T26E3 shield on the upper hull equals 102 mm, lower hull and turret side equals 76 mm, side hull equals 50 to 75 mm. And equipped with the main weapon M3 90 mm gun 70 rounds. Additional weapons with 2 Browning caliber 30-06 with 5,000 rounds, 1 Browning caliber 50 with 550 rounds. Equipped with Ford GAF 8-cylinder engine, gasoline for 150 to 500 horsepower, 340 to 370 kilowatts horsepower, ton 11.9 horsepower, 8.9 kilowatts, ton, torsion bar suspension. Cruising range reaches 160 kilometers, maximum speed 48 kilometers per hour on flat roads, and maximum speed 40.3 kilometers per hour on rough terrain.